So this is Peter will be condemning what is happening in River State and what continues to go wrong in River State. And I read it what he has just posted. So what is happening in the country today as it relates to River State is an aberration, unknown to our constitution, and must be condemned by every discerning mind. Not just condemning it, we have to come against all of this. What we are witnessing in River State is a brazen disobedience and disregard for the rule of law and our democratic principles. The decision to release statutory allocations to an appointed sole administrator, despite a standing order of the Supreme Court, is not just unlawful, it is a direct challenge to the authority of the highest court of our country. The Supreme Court had explicitly barred the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation, AGF, from releasing these funds until a properly constituted House of Assembly passes a valid appropriation act. Yet, we see a situation where this order is being ignored. This raises serious moral intentions and questions of what is happening in Rivers State. By disregarding the judgment of the Supreme Court, those involved are setting a dangerous precedent. The CBN and AGF, institutions meant to uphold the law, should not be complicit in its disregard for our judiciary. We cannot build a nation where those who swore oaths to uphold our constitution and obey the laws are doing the opposite. This is about more than just River State. It's about protecting the very fabric of our democracy and our existence as a nation. We're just getting into what do you call it now? A mayor wants to take over the country. This is what is happening now. This guy wants to become a dictator. So it continues. He said, a country cannot function where the rule of law is trampled upon, where the separation of powers is disregarded, and where judicial decisions are threatened as mere suggestions. If we continue this way, we are undermining the future of our democracy. We must choose to do the right thing. We respect the law and uphold the principles that bind us as a nation. And of course, it concludes with a new Nigeria is possible, which is a signature. But the one that is the response that I'm getting, I'm seeing here, the one that is striking me the most is the one by this person, Justice Omodiagba. He said, now there is a state of emergency in the state. What should happen to governance? For 6 months, the administrator will be in charge. Salaries should not be paid. In a state of emergency, the constitution is set aside to deal with the emergency after which everyone returns to status quo. Now, as much as this person is trying to make sense of it, he is setting a very bad precedence, trying to say that the constitution should be suspended. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous suggestion. The constitution should not be, so there is no provision in the constitution to suspend the constitution. The only time the constitution is suspended is when the military takes over, and that's the first thing they do. They suspend the constitution and direct the National Assembly. And that is not the situation we are in, unless Tinubu has turned himself into a military general. Now, if this guy is confused about what needs to be done, is that the first thing is that the reason why this is happening is because, in the first place, the declaration of a state of emergency and removing of a governor and elected officials is illegal, is unconstitutional. And so if you carry out an unconstitutional activity, you would then need more unconstitutional activities to be able to back it up. And that is what is happening in Rivers State. It's a total collapse, total destruction of the rule of law. That is, they are just dismantling the rule of law in Rivers State. If you declare a state of emergency, if the court has ruled that, look, you cannot continue to disburse money to the state unless they have an appropriate budget, then what should the president have done? Is to help the state facilitate a situation where the budget is presented and passed by the assembly so that the state can function. If he found a good reason to then declare a state of emergency, he will then have to leave a sitting governor, the person who has been elected, to continue to function, and also leave the National Assembly to continue to function. And if these institutions are left to function, they will have still been able to pass a budget within a timeline to be able to meet up with, and then now have their money released so that they continue to carry out the activities the state is meant to have. It's meant to have pay salaries and all that. That is what it's meant to be. But because they have destroyed, dismantled, done things just because of political reasons, they are now turning the constitution on its head. They are abusing their power. They are abusing the constitution. They are denigrating the institutions of the Supreme Court, which of course we know it is in their pocket. But unfortunately, you cannot use the Supreme Court the way it pleases you. You cannot choose which law to obey and which one not to obey. And it is very dangerous. It is a very dangerous precedent that is being set. And it's something that needs not just be condemned, but also people need to stand their ground and make sure it doesn't happen. I am disappointed that both the State Assembly in Rivers State, the Deputy Governor and the Governor have not gone to court. They do not understand the constitutional responsibilities they were given. In that sense, I feel that they are irresponsible. Fubara is irresponsible. His deputy is irresponsible. Of course, we already know that the State Assembly members are irresponsible. They needed to go to court. You cannot just, if Wike was the governor of Rivers State and a president, even if it were Tinubu, said that he has declared a state of emergency and he should go, do you think Wike will just pack and go? He wouldn't do that. If Tinubu was in the same situation, do you think that Tinubu and somebody declared a state of emergency in his state, in Lagos State, and asked him to vacate office, do you think that Tinubu would go? No. It means this guy's Fubara is complicit in this whole thing. He is irresponsible. He is irresponsible. He does not understand the responsibility that he has. He does not understand the responsibility he has as a governor of a state. And it is very, very bad of him. You cannot jump out of a position that the people have given you because a president, another elected official, supposedly asked you to leave. You don't do that. A declaration cannot take out a governor. You can't do that. The only thing, stay there, let them arrest you, but you must resist. You must fight for the constitution. And that is what you swore to. So both of them are complicit. And as a matter of fact, when they return, they need to be impeached because both the governor, his deputy, and the National Assembly have violated the constitution. They need to be removed. They are irresponsible. That is my stand.